Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Alfira Damayanti, and I will start the presentation of Group 5 from Written Translation Group Task. And the topic that we will talk about today is about translations problems. In our group, there are 6 members, and today I will be the first speaker in this presentation. First, we are going to explain the background of our presentation. Okay, so translation is the process to change the meaning of a word from one language into the other language. But in this translation activity, such as the other activity, we also could made any error or mistake when we do that translation. But in this process, the error or the mistake is something that quite often happen. So we consider that this error of translation could happen because of some reasons. Now, in this presentation, we will talk about that. That will be our topic. We will present you about the translation problems. So, we're going to move to the first problem. Okay, the first is ambiguity. Now, ambiguity is the common phenomenon in human language because of the hardness to find words which at least don't have two ways ambiguous or two meanings. Now, not only at words, the sentence also would have ways ambiguous, but in the sentence their way ambiguous, it is at the rule of forming that sentence. Now, this is not only problematic because of some alternatives are intended, but because that ambiguities multiply. Now, when a word have more than one meaning, we could say it as lexically ambiguous. And then when a phrase or sentence have more than one structure, it is said to be structurally ambiguous. Now we're going to give you example. You can see this two sentence in the presentation slide. The first is, you must not use abrasive cleaners on the printer casing. And then the second, the use of abrasive cleaners on the printer casing is not recommended. From those two sentences, we could see the same word key, that is use. Now, in the first sentence, use is act as the verb. And then in the second sentence, use is act as the noun. If we translate it word by word, then it would make people confused. They will confuse to understand the meaning of the same word that compared before. And then if they confuse with the meaning, then it will make them misunderstand of something that people want to convey. Therefore, to translate a sentence, we need to adjust the method that we use to translate the text. Depends on the text itself. We need to watch it carefully. That if this sentence is good to translate with which method.
2. Lexical and structural mismatches. Lexical and structural mismatches is the problem in translation, which might happen because of differences in the ways in which language seem to classify the word, what concept they choose to express by single word, and which they choose not to lexicalize. Other problems arise because different language use different structure for the same purpose and different purpose. for the same structure. For example, in English, we say swimming is Bobby's favorite activity. But we translate this word to Indonesia, in which we will replace the position of favorite and activity. So, berenang adalah aktivitas favorit Bobby. Uh, the other example that we will show is about the different lexical meaning of sentence with the same structure. Sam has just seen Kim. In Indonesian, we will say Sam baru saja bertemu dengan Kim. We could see that there are different meaning from word as just if we translate it word by word and if we translate it based on the sentence meaning.
Multi-words, idioms and collocations. The first idioms. Idioms are expressions whose meaning cannot be completely understood from the meanings of the component parts. The problem with idioms in empty context is that it not usually possible to translate them using the normal rules. In general, there are two approaches one can take to the treatment of idioms. The first is to try to represent them as single units in the monolingual dictionaries, and the second approach to idioms is to treat them with special rules that change the idiomatic source structure in an appropriate target structure. The second, collocations. In what we have called linguistic knowledge systems, at least collocation can potentially be treated differently from idioms. This is because for collocations, one can often think of one part of the expression as being dependent on and predictable from the other. For example, one may think that make an attempt has little meaning of its own and serves merely to support that noun. Such verbs are often called like verbs or support verbs. This suggests one can simply ignore the verb in translation and have the generation of synthesis component supply the appropriate verb.
My name is Nur Intan. Baik, saya akan melanjutkan dalam versi bahasa Indonesia mengenai masalah-masalah dalam proses penerjemahan. Yang pertama, nama orang, tempat, benda, atau proper names. Penerjemahan ini juga dapat menimbulkan masalah bagi penerjemah karena dalam bahasa-bahasa tertentu tidak terdapat bunyi-bunyi tertentu. Akibatnya, ketika merepresentasikan nama-nama berkaitan dengan bunyi harus menggunakan bunyi-bunyi yang terdekat yang tersedia dalam bahasa sasaran. Bahasa lain beberapa bahasa perlu menggunakan satu huruf untuk mewakili bunyi yang menuntut 2 atau 3 huruf dalam bahasa yang lain. Dua proses ini kemudian muncul pada nama yang tidak segera dikenali. Contoh, nama seorang komposer Rusia yang terkenal Tchaikovsky yang mengambil dalam bentuk bahasa Inggris menjadi Tchaikovsky. Yang kedua, singkatan dan acronyms atau abbreviation and acronyms. Penerjemahan ini juga dapat menimbulkan masalah bagi penerjemah karena singkatan dari beberapa huruf-huruf dari kata dilakukan secara arbitrer, yang artinya tidak terdapat suatu keharusan bahwa suatu rangkaian bunyi tertentu harus menggunakan arti tertentu pula. Acronyms dibentuk dari singkatan beberapa huruf atau suku kata dari kata yang akan digabungkan dan dilafalkan seperti sebuah kata. Yang ketiga, perubahan ortografi atau change in orthography. Penerjemahan ini juga dapat menimbulkan masalah bagi penerjemah jika ia tidak mengikuti perkembangan bahasa yang terlibat dalam kegiatan penerjemahan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Zulkifli. Saya akan melanjutkan penjelasan sebelumnya. D. Tulisan tangan atau handwriting. Walaupun hampir semua teks yang dihadapi oleh penerjemah dalam bentuk diketik atau dicetak, namun penerjemah sering mendapatkan kesulitan ketika harus berhadapan dengan teks berupa tulisan tangan, misalnya surat. E. Referensi bibliografis. Hal ini dapat menjadi masalah karena tidak semua negara mempunyai aturan yang sama dalam penulisan bibliografi dan referensi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Agustina Salilah dan saya akan melanjutkan materi sebelumnya, yaitu tentang masalah penerjemahan. Masalah selanjutnya yaitu tabel. Berhadapan dengan teks yang ada tabelnya, seperti yang biasa pada teks teknik, juga akan menimbulkan masalah bagi penerjemah, karena penerjemah harus memahami setiap unsur atau elemen yang ada dalam tabel tersebut. Dan masalah terakhir yaitu masalah merek dagang dan slogan. Merek dagang dan slogan dapat menimbulkan masalah dalam penerjemahan, karena penerjemah harus dapat mengenali dan membedakan bahwa kata tertentu adalah merek dagang dan bukan kata generik. Oleh karena itu, kata tertentu di suatu negara merupakan merek dagang dan di negara lain adalah kata generik. Sekian materi yang bisa saya sampaikan, lebih dan kurangnya mohon dimaafkan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.